Hi, I'm Jack Dawson. Let me tell you about the most unforgettable journey of my life. It started in Southampton, 1912. I was a poor artist, wandering around Europe with just a backpack and some sketches. That morning, I was sitting on the dock, wondering where to go next, when my friend Fabrizio ran over, waving 2 tickets in his hand. "Jack, we won!" he shouted. We'd played a lucky game of poker, and the prize was 2 third-class tickets to New York on the Titanic. The Titanic. Everyone called her the unsinkable ship. She was the biggest and most beautiful ship in the world. I couldn't believe our luck. We jumped on board just before the ship set sail. The crowd cheered, and the band played lively music. I stood at the railing, feeling the wind in my hair, and thought, this is the start of something amazing. Life in third class was simple but happy. We ate cheap meals with other passengers, danced to Irish music in the common room, and talked about our dreams. I wanted to go to New York, find a job as an artist, and paint the city's streets and people. Fabrizio dreamed of opening a restaurant. Every night, I'd sit on the deck, sketching the stars and the ocean. The sea was so calm, like a huge black silk blanket. Then, one evening, I met Rose. It was a coincidence that changed everything. I was walking along the first-class deck when I heard someone crying. I looked up and saw a young woman leaning over the railing, her hair blowing in the wind. She was so beautiful, but her eyes were full of sadness. I knew she was going to jump. "Don't do that," I said softly. She was surprised, turned around, and glared at me. "Who are you? What do you want?" she asked sharply. I told her my name and said, "You jump, I jump." I didn't know why I said that. Maybe because I saw the pain in her eyes. She hesitated. I talked to her, told her about my life as a wanderer, about the freedom I felt when I painted. Slowly, she calmed down. She told me her name was Rose DeWitt Bukater, and she was engaged to a rich man named Cal Hockley. Rose came from a wealthy family, but she hated her life. She didn't love Cal. She felt trapped by her family's expectations. That night, we talked for hours. She told me about her love for art, about her dreams of traveling the world alone. I felt a connection with her, like we'd known each other for years. Before we said goodnight, she gave me a smile, the first real smile I'd seen from her. I knew I was falling for her. The next day, Rose found me in the third-class common room. She wanted to learn about my world. I taught her how to dance the Irish jig, how to spit like a sailor, and she laughed harder than I'd ever seen anyone laugh. That afternoon, I took her to the bow of the ship. "Come on," I said. "I'll show you something amazing." I stood behind her, put my hands on her waist, and helped her climb onto the railing. "I'm flying, Jack," she shouted, spreading her arms. The wind blew her dress, and the sun set behind us, painting the sky pink and orange. In that moment, I kissed her. It was the most perfect kiss of my life. We spent the next few days hiding from Cal and Rose's mother. We went to the third-class parties, walked on the deck at night, and talked about our future. I drew a portrait of her, just her, with the blue diamond necklace Cal had given her, called the Heart of the Ocean. She gave me the portrait, telling me to keep it safe. I could see that she was torn between her old life and the new life she wanted with me. But Tao found out. He was furious. He had his servant beat me up and lock me in a room below deck. I shouted for help, but no one came. I was so scared I thought I'd never see Rose again. When she realized I was missing, she ran to find me. She fought through the crew and the passengers, found the room where I was locked, and broke me out with an axe. We ran back to the deck, holding hands. Just then, the alarm sounded. The ship had hit an iceberg. At first, no one panicked. Everyone still believed the Titanic could not sink. But soon, we saw seawater rushing up from the bottom of the ship. The crew began lowering the lifeboats, but there were far too few. "Women and children first," they shouted. Rose refused to get on a boat. Without me, she wasn't going anywhere. I begged her to leave, telling her I would find another way. Finally, she stepped into the lifeboat. She stood at the edge, turned back to look at me, her eyes filled with struggle and heartbreak. The lifeboat began to descend, the ropes creaking as they slid. Just before it reached the ocean, before anyone could react, she suddenly turned and leapt back onto the deck. "Rose!" I shouted. She ran toward me and grabbed my hand tightly. "We go together," she said, looking straight at me. I nodded. Hand in hand, we turned and ran toward the other side of the ship. The ship began to tilt, the ground growing steeper beneath our feet. People were crying, screaming, praying. Some slipped and fell. Some jumped straight into the freezing sea. We ran across the slanted deck, pushing past the panicked crowd. Suddenly, the lights went out for a moment. In the darkness, a deep, terrifying cracking sound echoed through the ship. Low, violent, impossible to ignore. The lights came back on. The ship had broken in two. The bow slowly sank into the ocean, while the stern rose high into the air like a tower about to collapse. I grabbed the railing with all my strength, my other hand holding on to Rose. The entire ship shook violently, and then, together, we were thrown into the sea. The water was freezing, like thousands of needles piercing our skin at once. I pulled her onto a piece of floating wood. It was the only thing that could keep us afloat. But there wasn't enough room for both of us. I had to stay in the water, holding on to the wood. "You have to promise me," I said again, my voice shaking. "Promise me you'll live a long life. Promise me you'll never let go." Rose cried and nodded. "I promise, Jack. I promise." The cold was getting worse. I could feel my body getting numb. I looked at Rose, and she looked back at me. I tried to smile. "You're going to be okay," I said. "You're going to have a wonderful life." My eyes started to close. I thought about our time on the bow of the ship, about her smile, about the way she laughed when I taught her to dance. Those were the happiest moments of my life. When I woke up, I was in a lifeboat. Rose had kept her promise. She'd found a whistle and blown it until a lifeboat came back for her. But they couldn't find me in time. Wait, no. Actually, this is my story from beyond. I watched Rose as she grew old. She lived a long, happy life. She traveled the world, learned to fly, had children and grandchildren. She never forgot her promise. When she was old, she threw the heart of the ocean into the ocean. For me. People say the Titanic was a tragedy, and it was. So many lives were lost. But for me, it was also a gift. It gave me Rose. Even though our time together was short, it was the most beautiful thing that ever happened to me. I will always love her, and I know she will always love me. That's my story, the story of Jack and Rose on the unsinkable ship that sank. A story of love, hope, and promises kept.